Hello and welcome to Recharge Wrestling. We're here to plug you into the world of professional wrestling. I'm Fisher and I'm here with my co-hosts Keeney and Krusty.
Hey guys.
Hello again.
Fisher a bit excited there at the start.
Yeah, I got really excited. He jumped the gun. So we're not sure there. You might get already, two hellos. So
yeah, you might get two hellos. If you listen to the podcast already, you'll know how hyped we are about the show. So apologies for my eagerness there jumping in. But we're here now for Clash at the Castle predictions, which obviously we've got our league. Feel free to join in. We'll have the matches up on our Twitter very shortly, I'm sure. By the time this pod comes out, actually, it'll probably be up. Yeah. So anyone's welcome to join in. There's a T-shirt at the end of the year for the winner. We will also have all-out predictions this weekend as well. So two big pay-per-views to predict on. We're not going to do NXT Worlds Collide purely because 3 pay-per-views and predictions in one weekend is just too much.
We'd be spamming the hell out of you on Twitter.
And I'm sure all out followers going to be about
Recharge Wrestle. That's where you'll find these predictions.
I'm sure all out is going to have about 36 matches on the card, plus the few we've got here. So yeah, you know what it's like in AEW now. A lot of matches. So NXT on top of that, just not going to happen. And that is the show with pie out of the 3. So let's get to it. Over to Krusty, who's going to sort of.
So here we go. We're going to get some predictions on the go. We're each going to give what we believe the result is and a quick reason for that. So we're going to start. This isn't really in any particular order, but a possible prediction of what we think the order may go in. Let's start with Edge and Rey Mysterio versus the Judgment Day. And I'm going to try and mix up the order that we answer this. And to make it fair, I'm going to start. So I believe the Judgment Day are going to pick up the win here. And if you've listened to any of our other podcasts, the main reason I think this is going to happen is because I believe Dominic Mysterio has been left out of this match because he's going to turn heel and turn on his dad and Edge. And that is simply the reason why I think Judgment Day are going to win. I think it's going to be a good match, and I think they're going to pick up the win. And I think they also need it because they lost the last big match they had. I think we're going to hear from Keeney now. What do you think?
So I was quite excited not knowing who's going to go next. I'm sat here like edge of my seat.
I nearly forgot then. Yeah. I was just you can have my prediction and that's it.
Trying to work out. Well, I don't have much else to say other than what you said. I think Judgment Day will win, and I think Dominic Mysterio is going to turn here. We have seen it in the build-up. If it doesn't happen here, I'll be surprised. In my head, I'm trying to work out, is there a way where Edge and Rey win and Dominic still turns? Then maybe, because I've had this happen to me in the past with predictions where I've predicted a turn.
That almost happened to SummerSlam.
Yeah, it happens
Edge
after the match. Yeah,
in the match, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think that's actually what I was
sort of the opposite way, wasn't
it? But here, I do think Judgment Day are going to win. I think they are the team that is being built here, not Edge and Rey. I would predict Rey probably takes the pinfall as well, but that's a side point. But yeah, that's my prediction. Judgment Day to beat Mysterio and Edge. And
our remaining fish.
Yeah, I know it's boring, but I've got to go for the same one here. This is one of the ones in my head that I actually knew what I was going to go for before. There's only probably 2 matches on the card where I'm doing that. This, I think, basically echo what both of you said. I think Dominic is going to turn. There is a possibility. I think Keeney just said, is there a way that they could do it? I think there is a possibility that you could have Edge pick up the win for the team and then
in the
Judgment Day attack afterwards in the celebrations, and you think Dominic's going to save them, but actually he helps.
100%. You could even play into the kendo stick with Rhea there. They could come out together, beat him up in the full purple gear.
So I don't think it's obvious for that reason. Even if we think Dominic's turning, I don't think it makes the result obvious. But I do think Judgment Day need a win here because we had Edge beat Priest clean on Raw 2 weeks ago. We had SummerSlam. We had was the match Mysterios versus Judgment Day, wasn't it? Was that the match?
Yes.
Right. Yeah, where Edge came in. So they've already beaten them as well. So for Judgment Day to have the credibility to get the win, I think you're right. I think Rey will be the one that takes the pin as well. And that can further feud into the story of Dominic and Rey, because Dominic can be like, you lost the match.
Yeah, you're the weak link, not me.
Yeah, you're the weak link here in this thing, not me. I think that would add to it even further. So I think that's a great, and I don't see them. I don't think Edge takes the pin either. And then you can spin off that into Ray versus Dominic feud. You can still do Edge and Balor 1-on-1 if you wanted to wrap up the feud, because they haven't had that match yet. And yeah, I think Judgment Day win, and I think we're going to get a banger, and that's about it, really.
So next match on the card, absolute heavy hitter. We have Gunther versus Sheamus, and I think we should go in reverse order here. So I think Fisher, you ended, so
Fair
you
enough.
should predict first.
It's a tough one. It's one I've gone for back and forth. If you listened to the podcast already, this week's, I did say, it's Sheamus's home turf, although it is kind of Gunther's in a way as well because of NXT UK, and he hasn't. The Intercontinental title is the only title they haven't won, but they haven't played into this much on TV, so I don't think that is really in WWE's mind here, because unlike the story with Drew, they haven't played that up. And I think we need a longer run for Sterling General. So I think he's going to win here. Gunther gets a win. We get, hopefully, Lashley versus Gunther at Survivor Series, which I've been calling for since both of them were won the belts. And to a cheeky extra bit to it, I think, I mentioned it again earlier, I think we may see Pete Dunne even turn on Sheamus or something like that here. I don't think we need too many turns on this show. So if that was one more, then we don't really need any others. But that's a possibility. Maybe they won't do it yet, but that could play into Sheamus losing, or they could accidentally maybe cost Sheamus the match, Butch getting a bit carried away. But yeah, I think Gunther retains, and we get more of the Sterling General. Sorry, I was trying to do the pose.
He's gone.
Disappeared during that.
I did the pose, but it didn't work with my camera. Fade.
Ghost General over there.
Yeah. And Keeney.
This is interesting because I think, again, if you haven't checked out our pod where we hyped Clash, then go back and listen to that before you listen to this, because a lot of references back to that in this prediction video. But I think I'm kind of convinced that this is probably Sheamus's time to win. If he's going to win the IC belt, and if Gunther's going to lose it, it's probably going to happen here. But that being said, I just don't think there's been, I think Fisher probably said that actually, I don't think it doesn't been much build on Sheamus winning this. And I actually think their decision on this may depend on what they decide on the main event. Do they want Sheamus and Drew to both lose their big title matches? Or do they want, will they have one of them win, one of them lose? And if you're having Drew losing the main event, would you have maybe that make them make Sheamus win here? Really, really torn, but I'm gonna have to decide right now. The problem is, I haven't thought about these beforehand.
Come on, let's get your prediction.
I'm gonna go for Sheamus. Sheamus to win
different.
the IC belt.
Now we're talking.
Now it's interesting.
I just think it's going to be really boring if we have the same every match.
It would.
Because we do that quite often on our, or like not have one difference when we do it on our thing. But since we're all doing it on camera, that would have been really dull.
I think I agree with what you're saying about the Drew stuff. I think if one wins, the other loses. I think to have both win or both lose is just not going to be the way. You need one big hometown pop. I agree with what you both said about he's not been built in the same way Drew has on this being as much of a big deal. I also think Gunther definitely has not had a long enough reign. I think he's looked great so far, and I think it would be a real waste to drop that now. And I think if you lose the momentum with Gunther, you almost waste him. He's not got any slot to fit into the main title or anything like that. I don't think there's a spot for them in the tag division just yet, and I think it'd be a waste of him. So for that reason, I think Gunther is going to pick up the win here. I also think Sheamus doesn't lose much by losing as well. Yes, he's not going to pick up that title and get the Grand Slam, but I think you can still have an amazing moment with Sheamus putting up a massive battle, no matter how he loses, whether it's through Pete Dunne, Butch, interference from Ludwig. I just think that there's a scene to be had there with him being clapped out the arena because he put on such a show, put up a battle, even though he lost. So for that reason, I still think he gets his moment without needing to win the belt. So yeah, I'm going for Gunther. So next match, going down the card, I think we're going to get Matt Riddle versus Seth freaking Rollins, which is going to be an absolute scorcher. And I'm going to throw this one straight onto Keeney, as he hasn't predicted first yet.
Yeah, that's I suspect that one. This one is
probably the hardest match
tough.
to call as well.
Yeah, it is really tough. But I actually do have, unlike the last match, I do actually have someone in mind here. We say it all the time, Seth loses a lot. And I think this is a feud where he has to win. I just can't see him lose. I don't know. And maybe this is the first of a series of matches. It happens with Seth a lot. He has a series of matches with someone. They could do that with Riddle. I kind of mentioned it earlier on the previous pod video that I don't know when Orton's back or when that's going to factor in here, or even Cody on the other side. The thing is, Seth and Riddle both have bigger feuds outside. I think we're going to see Riddle and Orton at some point. We're going to see Cody and Seth at some point. This is almost a really good filler, but I think it's kind of a filler to get us to that point. And in my head, I can see Seth winning or going for and potentially winning the title before I can see Riddle going for it. So for me, Seth holds a bit more value here. So I have to go for Seth Rollins to win. There is a chance that Riddle wins and then we have another couple of matches and Seth wins the next couple. Who knows? But I'm going to go Seth Rollins to win.
Okay, so I will predict next. This is really difficult for me. I was pretty sewn on my prediction until what you just said. But I'm going to stick by what I originally thought. Again, you know, it's my frustration of mine. I think the problem is that Seth has lost so much in the past when he shouldn't have, makes this difficult. But I think Matt Riddle is going to win this match. I just think Seth has been too personal. He's won too much of the beatdowns. He's always, even when Riddle's got the beat down on Seth, he's never really left him lying in the ring sort of motionless or anything like that. He's always sort of Seth's escaped or something. Seth almost got the one up here as well. I don't think you're wrong at all with the fact that this is going to go on. I think we're going to get another match at Survivor Series where Seth will then potentially win, because then hopefully we've split the main belt, which then gives Seth direction to go on to that, maybe at day one, something like that. Yeah, so going for Matt Riddle to win this feud, and I think it is going to be a cracker of a match. Absolute cracker. And Fisher, what do you think?
It's interesting now because I wasn't expecting you to go for Riddle at all there. I really thought.
Is that just because I love Seth? I mean,
yeah, I just thought you were going to go for Seth, and I thought you'd say, "Oh,
don't get me wrong, I want Seth to win." But
so that's interesting, but it's not going to affect my decision anyway. I had in mind I do think it is the hardest match to call on the card because of what I said earlier about neither of them have really wrestled much recently. They've kept them from not having matches and win and losses on TV and things like that. It's very tough, but I'm going to go for Seth to win, purely because I think Keeney's onto something with going for the title sooner rather than later. I also think with Survivor Series coming up, maybe Rollins could lead. If they do a Team Raw, Team SmackDown match, I think Rollins could well be the leader of the team. Or even any Survivor Series team they do, Rollins, I think, will be involved big time in that, whereas Riddle may not be. And I think obviously you've got the title picture coming. And Rollins, I think, needs a big win. And I think Triple H, obviously, he likes Riddle, but Seth Rollins was his first ever NXT champion. He's worked in him with the Authority back in the day. You know that Triple H loves Seth Rollins. He didn't have him on the card at SummerSlam, which Seth tweeted about. Whether it's kayfabe or real or not, I think he's going to give Seth a win here.
I'm going to be really disappointed if I've not predicted Seth and he wins. This is so rare that I go against him.
I was shocked. When Keeney said, Seth, I was like, okay, we're all going for Seth in this match then, so that's a bit boring. And then you went and picked Riddle, so I was like, okay, maybe not.
It's an interesting
Fair
one,
enough,
isn't it?
yeah.
It really is.
And we've gone different. We've all gone different across the board now. So
it's exciting, isn't it? It's exciting. And let us know what you think. Join in with our predictions, please, on Twitter. It'll be great to see.
Or in the YouTube comments if you just want to comment on
Yeah, YouTube comment. Yeah. Give us.
If you're watching on there.
Definitely. Please give us a like, subscribe, and a cheeky comment.
If you want to predict by carrier pigeon, please do. I mean, we're open to any kind of predictions.
If someone has a carrier pigeon now, they're not going to know where to send it. So we're going to link Keeney's address at the bottom here. Send him plenty of pigeons.
I'll put my home address on it.
Yeah. So going on to an interesting match next, we have Bianca Belair, Alexa Bliss, and Asuka versus Bayley, Dakota Kai, and Io Sky. I have lost. Who should we get? I think it's me. Yeah, I'm back at the top of the card. So as we mentioned, please check out our Clash at the Castle hype video because I went into this in more detail, but I believe Bayley, Dakota Kai, and Io Sky will get the win here. They lost the tag title belts basically because of the other trio. So I think it gives them more meaning to win. And I think it would be crazy to have them lose so early on. They've looked quite good so far, but the fact they've just lost quite a big stakes match, I think it would be a shame for them to lose now, and it would really put them over to beat such a strong trio. And I don't think Belair, Bliss, and Asuka really gain anything by winning as a trio because they've just sort of been thrown together. Also gives it heat, hopefully going in towards Survivor Series. So I'm going with the heels, Bayley, Dakota Kai, and Io Sky to win. Keeney?
Yeah, I was actually in my head just thinking about who I've gone to win, and I'm glad I went for Sheamus because I've gone for I think I've gone for heels across the board to win so far, and I'm doing the same here. Just FYI, I'm going for Dakota, Bayley, control. Oh, what's their name, Fisher? Damage Control.
I think that's not their official name yet, but I think that's their name. Yeah, that's
what I'm calling them, Damage Control, because, as you said, they have just lost the tag belts, and I think they are the focus at the moment. That team, to have them lose their first trios match or 6-person match would be weird, and it also just sets up where I think we're heading is Bayley and Belair. So it would only make sense if Bayley got the upper hand over Belair here in this 6-person tag. I guess the only other thing is we mentioned on the hype video is Sasha and Naomi, and I guess you could have Belair's team win, and then Sasha and Naomi come out at the end and confront, and then beat down, and then you could do something like that. It's just one of those angles. But we, like Fisher actually mentioned earlier, we can't have a turn or a return or a turn after every match on this card, and we kind of that's in our thoughts all the time. So here, I just think we're going to get the heel team win, and I think we're going to build up to Bayley and Belair for the title. Good. That's my prediction.
Fish, have you got anything different, or
it's basically the same? I completely agree with everything you said. I think them losing on Raw was a massive thing. Like, surely they got to win here. Like Dakota, and they're not winning the tag titles. Surely they're winning the big match here. I think maybe Alexa will take the pin, but Bayley will probably get the pin and then use that as sort of a thing to go into Belair. I also think we haven't mentioned it yet at all, but the trio of Belair, Asuka, and Bliss actually got a win on Raw against 3 random jobbers, but they built them up and gave them
that
a
was
win.
really random.
I think they did that on purpose though, so to give them a win as a trio here in the build up, and then they're going to lose. And like you said, Krusty, they're not really a trio, are they? They're 3 individual people that have come together. So I think we're going to get the heels win here. Should be an absolute banger of a match. After the match, I could see something happening like a beatdown. They win the match, Damage Control maybe, then you get the saving from Raquel and Aaliyah, because obviously there's the feud there, and that's when you might get Sasha and Naomi return, and that leads to a big 5-on-5 match at Survivor Series. That's my prediction, is that match is going to happen. But I don't know whether we'll get that here, and we'll get Sasha and Naomi in the UK, potentially. Or I think the bigger shout actually maybe that happens on SmackDown, because Raquel and Aaliyah are SmackDown stars and Sasha and Naomi were, so that could happen to SmackDown next week. But I think that's where we're heading. So, and I think the best way to do that is have the heels win here, and then make them even stronger by having Sasha and Naomi come back as well.
Good threading. So, Fish, carry on talking, my friend, because I want you to predict Liv Morgan versus Shayna Baszler.
Okay. Yeah, this is one where I'm like not 100% sure at all. Because Triple H loves Shayna Baszler, and I don't think the Liv Morgan title run has worked that well so far. I think the moment was cool. But ever since the Ronda match at SummerSlam, I think it's been a bit botched. To be honest, I don't think it's been booked that well. I think the crowd reaction to Liv isn't as good as it was. So Triple H might look at that and be like, do you know what? I'm going to put the money match is Ronda and Shayna. I'm going to put the title on Shayna. So it has made me think. However, I'm just going to go for the safer option and go the champ retains, because...
Ooh, I thought you were going to go Shayna Baszler.
No, I'm going to go Liv, because Liv is the face, and I've got a bit like Keeney. I've got more heels to win, and I think Liv. I don't think even though the title run's not been great, I don't think they should give up on it just yet. I think you have her go into Survivor Series as the champion. Maybe she'll lose it by the Royal Rumble to either like a Ronda or a Charlotte, probably. And I do think we might see Ronda Rousey on this show after the match. She'll probably come through the crowd because she's suspended still, isn't she? Which would be cool if she comes right past us. Like, that'd be amazing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm going to go for the champ to retain.
I'm going to go very similar to you. I'm a little bit more sure, I think, than you are. I'm going for Liv Morgan to retain. I think Shayna hasn't had a big enough build, as much as I think they've done okay with it. I don't think she could carry the title. Not yet. I just don't think she's a big enough star. At least Liv had some momentum behind her. Yes, they've made a bit of a mess of it since, but I just don't think she could be champion. I think it would be quite wasted for the belt. And I think she can go on to better and arguably bigger things when, as you mentioned, I think Ronda Rousey's either going to interfere in this or come out and cause a distraction to Shayna, and then we're going to get that Shayna versus Ronda feud. So yeah, pretty solid prediction from me of Liv Morgan to retain here.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm assuming I'm next, but my
No.
yeah, my prediction is fairly more cemented as well. I'm with Team Liv here. I do think there is a possibility that they have changed their mind on Liv as champ because of how it's been received, and also I think Fisher made a good point. The money match is Ronda v Shayna. That's the money match. Not what's bigger than that Liv can do for the title. There's nothing. So
I don't think you need the title. Just chiming in there.
No, you probably don't. But I just think Liv hasn't. I think she deserves a bigger run. I think we need to give her a chance to sort this out. And I mean, I think it could be another screwy finish. By the way, I think it could be another, submission hold pinfall type thing. Wouldn't surprise me. Yeah, because Liv's going to get beaten up in this match, and she's going to win either by a roll up or something funny.
She can't do that.
I think they
can't do that.
Yeah, I think they'd be better off having a win strong, but I don't know. Again, realistically, I would like to predict this after SmackDown, really, because I think SmackDown might give us a better indication of this one. But as we speak, Liv Morgan is my prediction to retain the title.
Brilliant. And Keeney, would you like to kick us off with the main event, the Tribal Chief Roman Reigns versus Drew McIntyre, our very own Drew, for the undisputed Universal Championship?
Yes, I would love to. This is a very hard. I mean, this for me is the hardest prediction to make, because that you can make a great case of both of them winning. And I actually said earlier about Sheamus and Drew. My point there was I don't think they can both lose, but I do think they can both win the belts. And I think there's a possibility we end the night with maybe Sheamus comes out and we end the night with Sheamus and Drew in the ring having a beer, both with their belts, having a great time with the crowd. And outside they send us all home happy. There's a potential they do that. So I am going for a new undisputed WWE Universal Champion. I think it's too big a moment to not do it. If you're not going to do it now, then this is it. This is the moment for Drew to win it. I will be very intrigued if Roman wins what they have planned next for Drew, because I don't know what he can do after losing to Roman in his own, well, I say hometown. He's from Scotland and it's in Wales, so, but it's it's as close to home as can be. So, yeah, I think, and this is going to end the night, and it's the first show in 30 years in the UK. They're going to want a big moment. I think this is the big moment. I think Drew beats Roman and ends his 200-day reign. We've got a celebration on Friday. I just think everything's kind of aligned, and I just think Drew is going to win the belt. And I think Drew and Sheamus are going to come out of this as champions. So that's my prediction. Drew McIntyre wins the title.
Very good. Sir Fisher?
Oh, yeah, that image now, I can't get it out of my head of Sheamus and Drew winning the titles together and coming out at the end after the show goes off the air. That really is a powerful image that I could see happening. And I've gone for Gunther to win. I'm going to go for the Tribal Chief to retain as well.
Oh, here he goes. Spicy.
I want Drew to win, by the way. I just want to make that clear. I think they should go with the big moment. I think at the moment there's no obvious person to put the belt on unless you turn Seth face. I think KO and Sammy are wrapped up in the Usos feud. I think that takes them out of it. Cody's injury. Lashley's already got a title. Theory for me isn't the guy to take the belt off him. There isn't anyone else right now, but I don't know. I've just got this feeling that the Tribal Chief rolls on for a little bit longer. I think they're going to want to keep the titles on. The thing is as well, the Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn factor, and when that match happens, comes into this a little bit, because I think we're going to see basically the undoing of the bloodline slowly and surely. The Usos I think the Usos lose their titles first. That pisses Roman off. He goes off the rails. He gets caught off guard, gets pissed off at the Usos. They don't help him, and then he loses the title or something like that. I can see happening. I don't know who to right now. It could even be Drew on another day, although I think that'd be a waste of time. But I just have this feeling that Roman somehow retains, and he ends the show getting booed out of the building. The crowd have to acknowledge him, the Usos, maybe Sami Zayn's there, who knows. And Roman retains and goes on to Survivor Series, where I don't know what's going to happen, because normally they do the two top champions against each other. They've only got one champion. But maybe this is where you can do a belt split. And he goes, after this defense, he just vacates the WWE title. And that's how they do it. And then they do a new champion on Raw, and then they face Roman at Survivor Series or something like that. But yeah, I don't know what. I'm not really sure on my reasoning, other than it's Roman. You don't vote against Roman Reigns. That's basically my reasoning.
I can't knock you for that.
Yeah,
makes it interesting that you've gone for Roman though. So again, this is really difficult. Everything you both have said really does make sense. I mean, every time I've gone against Roman Reigns, I've been stupid to do so. But I think the imagery of Drew in the middle of that ring after an absolute war, holding those championships high, as close to home as possible in front of the home crowd, you just can't get rid of that. I think he hasn't had his moment. He carried the titles through COVID. He never got that big, massive moment in front of a major crowd. I think he's owed that. And I really do think he is owed that. It's not often I'd say that, but I think he is. He did so well during the pandemic era. His story is just amazing. And if you don't get Drew to beat him, who do you get to beat Roman Reigns? Touching on something that Fisher said of the undoing of the bloodline, I don't disagree. I think it'd be a good idea to have the Usos drop the belts first. I predicted it months ago that they were going to drop the belts, and they just carried on. But I think they're sowing the seeds for the bloodline to carry on and being relevant with Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens without Roman necessarily having the titles. Maybe Roman's going to have some time off. He has obviously cut back his hours, sort of thinking outside of the ring. Maybe he's ready for some time off. And I just don't think you can waste this opportunity. I still think you may get Sheamus in the ring afterwards with Drew, even if he hasn't won. And that's a great way of pushing him face, even if he comes out. I just think you've got these great moments that could happen with Theory coming down, attempting a cash in, and Drew just overcoming all these obstacles. The Usos come out, bang, he beats them. Another thing, Theory comes out, bang, he's beat him. So he deserves that win. He fights through everything and then still comes out victorious. So we're thinking constantly, oh my God, he's going to lose now. Here come the Usos. Here comes Theory. Paul Heyman's done something. I just think it would be wasted to not, if he, as you say, Keeney, if he doesn't get it now, that's it for Drew. But I think he's too big a star to not give it to him. Even if he carries it for not too long or splits the belt, I just think it's a great opportunity. But as Fisher said, you can't 100% rule out Roman Reigns retaining.
Predicting a guy who's not lost for 200 days is not a bad prediction.
Two years.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. I mean,
2 years.
2 years.
This Friday, which is insane.
I think you said, Fish, about you see the Usos before losing it before Reigns.
Yeah.
I think it will be a very interesting dynamics in the bloodline where Reigns isn't champ, but the Usos are.
That would be.
We have never seen that. I think that would be so interesting. I think that's a whole different dynamic that is just like,
It would if they'd been teasing that, like the Usos want to be the power of it, if you know what I mean. But they haven't. And for me, like, there's an obvious that Sami Zayn and KO is the obvious thing now to happen. And I just think it makes sense to take the titles off them first. It would be a really interesting dynamic, though. I do agree with you, but I don't see them doing it. But
if you still want WrestleMania to be The Rock versus Roman Reigns, this could be a real good angle. That Roman has a bit of time off, then comes back and still tries to have the power. And it can be, well, you lost the titles. How do you still rule over us? And then you go into that Rock feud of him coming in to say, look, you ain't. Can you smell what I'm cooking? Or something like that. I'm the real tribal chief. But yeah, I think this has been some interesting predictions because we've actually all gone relatively different. I don't think either of us have gone
I do think as well, there's also a factor of, I know we said, like, obviously you could have end the show with Roman standing tall and then we're wondering who's next challenger is. There is a possibility we get someone come out at the end of the show, like a return or
The Rock,
like something huge. There's one person we haven't factored into this, and that's Karrion Kross. He could cost Drew the title. He could also, Drew could win the title and face Karrion Kross as his first challenger.
I think that's what's more likely to happen.
Yeah, but there is a good point. Karrion Kross could cross. Karrion Kross could cross Drew McIntyre. It could happen. I'd even thought, I forgot he was even employed. I forgot all about him, Karrion Kross.
There's also those weird, the weird things going on with the gloved hand on the show the other week.
A lot of people have mentioned the Fiend coming back on this show. I don't see it happening personally.
I don't know how it would work, but there's been lots of hints, hasn't there? There's been lots of cryptic messages.
I've seen loads of rumors
on social
media about Bray Wyatt, but I just don't see it happening. And if it is Bray Wyatt, I don't think it'll be the Fiend character. I think it'll be a different character. I've seen other people mention Braun Strowman's been apparently talked about coming back, but I just don't think he's big enough to come back in that spot at the moment.
No.
I think people would be like, "Oh God, if he come back to challenge Roman Reigns, if he comes back, fair enough." But
You mean Drew?
Or Drew? Yeah, either or, whatever it is. That could easily also be Tyson. I know you said, Ken, you don't want him involved in the main event. I could see Tyson Fury's involvement being somewhere in the main event.
I do not want Tyson Fury involved here.
I think he's going to come down, but I don't think he's going to cost anybody. I don't think he's going to get the chance to.
Or if Drew wins, he could confront Drew afterwards. I don't want to see that.
I don't want to see Tyson Fury in a title match.
I'm not wanting this to happen. I'm just Tyson Fury and Drew could be a match they do.
Tyson Fury. I thought you said. I was thinking of Theory for some reason.
I thought you were going to say you were thinking of Tyson Kidd.
Bring back Tyson Kidd.
He still works backstage.
Yeah.
Could come out. Cheeky little appearance.
So there we have it.
Yeah, I think that is us, all of our Preds. Like we've mentioned multiple times, check out our Clash at the Castle hype. This is the prediction video, not a hype video, but we have hyped it.
Imagine how hyped the other video is.
A fair bit on this as well, but yeah, check out our hype
We're
video.
Mojo Rawley level, stay hyped.
Yeah, we are. We're basically the hype bros. Follow us on Twitter at Recharge Wrestle to get involved in our prediction league. You've heard our predictions now. Go and predict yourself. A chance to win a wrestling t-shirt of your choice at the end of the year for the winner of the prediction league. It is not too late to enter. There's people predict some shows, not the others. There's still a chance to win. And obviously one of us three can't win.
Fun to join in anyway.
Yeah, I think me and Krusty did the top. So one of us three can't win it. So it's got to be a listener who wins. Yeah, exactly. So get involved there. If you are listening to this on podcast format and not on YouTube, or if you're watching it on YouTube and don't subscribe to us, subscribe, like, comment, check out all our content. And this is the time to follow us because on YouTube and Twitter, but we're going to have a lot of video content from Clash. We're going to try and post it as it happens, a lot of it, but there'll be stuff coming out for days, weeks after Clash. It's going to be, we're going to have a lot of content. We're going to have a lot of phones on the go. I've got a power bank ready to charge phones up. But we are prepared for video content. So we're
prepared for a big old clash.
Yeah, but we are gonna clash up our YouTube, or I don't know. I don't know where I was going there. But yeah, so follow us on Twitter. I've already said that. Follow us on YouTube, like, subscribe, and as we said on the previous pod, if you are attending Clash at the Castle and want to chat wrestling, if you see us guys around in our Recharge Wrestling shirts, let us know. We are more than happy to chat wrestling with any of you. And yeah, we just cannot wait. We are days away from it now, and so hyped. So that's it from us. We'll be back next. We'll be releasing a review show after the fact over the weekend, and then we'll be back with our regular scheduled programming next week where we review the week of wrestling. So do check that out as well. So we will see you next time, guys.
Goodbye.
Bye, everyone.